Welcome, everybody. It is February the 9th, 2025. A lot of people are out there right now watching the Super Bowl. Maybe if you're putting this on, you're putting it on as a sort of a sideshow to see what's happening out there. We have a lot going on tonight. We cover these news events, live breaking news here on the channel almost every day now. Today, we are covering some of what's happening in Pennsylvania. We're going to give just a couple of seconds to let everybody come in here. Go ahead and let us know where you're coming in from in the USA. I'm at the upper end of Alabama, southern end of the Appalachian Trail, where we're watching our dumpster fire that we call the U.S. government roll through 2025. This is a shelter-in-place order. For anybody who doesn't know what a shelter-in-place order, it's when the government, because of something happening in your local environment, they tell you have to go inside. They sometimes tell you to tape your windows up, tape your door up, the gap around your door, tape that up. Go ahead and put plastic over top of your AC unit intakes and tape those up. Those are the types of shelter-in-place orders that are going out more and more frequently. Now, at this time, they say emergency personnel are still on the scene in Seegertown. As in Pennsylvania, a massive explosion at an industrial building that is owned by Lord Corporation. Let's go ahead and ask who Lord Corporation is to Grok. Who is Lord Corporation? Grok is going to tell us the best that it can. A diversified manufacturing company that specializes in coatings, adhesives, and other technology that has to do with aerospace, oil and gas, and industrial sectors. They've operated in 26 countries, according to this, approximately 3,000 employees. They were acquired by Parker Hannifin for $4 billion. It was funded in 1924. So is this an act of sabotage? Well, we really don't know. All we can go is based off of what we are seeing.
What the hell is stove right
Massive recovery efforts. Bacteria found in the fog, I know it. Now we're also going to get, I didn't see Jordan in there, and hey Storm, hey Jordan. We're also going to get to the fog hitting Louisiana tonight. So whether it's just a normal fall time, or springtime, wintertime fog, I don't know. But I do know that people are getting sick after.
I thought it was ice falling off the roof.
So this is a huge cleanup and recovery effort that's ongoing. Hazmat materials. Hazmat says stay inside your house. Shelter-in-place orders have been given. People are receiving emergency alerts telling them to avoid all outdoor areas and close all of your windows until further notice. So that's happening in Pennsylvania right now. Let's see what else we've got. This is El Potro Mexican Cafe in Liberty, Missouri, raided by ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. It's reported that 12 out of the 15 employees were working there illegally, taken into custody. Now, I'm very surprised at just how much of our service industry and how much of our construction industry has been afraid to show up to work, possibly because a lot of them are working under the table and illegally. Now, maybe we're also starting to see a criminal element that's afraid to show up, and that's why these places are emptying out. But criminal element means, guys who are either on the run from some sort of fugitive environment or something else that's happening, or if you're in this country illegally, you're both a criminal's a criminal. Hey, Matt, glad to see you here tonight.
Security llegó al restaurante El Potro, Mexican Restaurant in Liberty, Missouri, este viernes a horas del mediodía.
Okay, so there's some music there. I'm not going to play it. It says the waiter who was there managed to get some video of what was happening. You got ICE there. Some plainclothes guys showed up. Some guys with the Department of Homeland Security telling everybody that they needed to give their identification. Maybe you're overreacting, Brian. I didn't see what Brian had to say. Go ahead and let us know. Hey, Carrot Top, glad to see you. I do like me some Carrot Top, that's for sure. Okay, so shelter in place, Pennsylvania. ICE raids, Missouri. We've got the Super Bowl going on right now. Here's Hexeth.
The second one is rebuild our military.
DLD After Dark, thank you so much. Appreciate you reporting on this news. Yeah, we're glad to be here. I'm not watching the Super Bowl tonight. I don't care if anybody is. I'm not against you. We all take our bread and circus differently, right? So I'm not watching tonight. I'd rather watch the news and see what's going on. If I was a betting man, which I'm not a betting man in that regard. But if I had money on the Super Bowl, maybe I would be a little bit more invested into it, but no, not so much.
You know, our defense industrial base, our acquisitions process, how we rapidly field new technologies, how we learn from conflicts around the globe, how we match what we fund to capabilities and effects. There's a lot of programs around here that we spend a lot of money on that when you actually war game it, don't have the impact you want them to. One of the benefits I have is I don't have any special interests.
Yeah, I can't believe the fog's going on either. It's going on in a couple of places. Down south, Louisiana, right where the president is. We have some other things happening, so I like Hexeth, Matt says. He seems like a good guy. Jordan, where in PA is the shelter-in-place? Seegertown. Haven't heard anything in your region about it. Yes, Seegertown, wherever that is.
I don't have a background invested in any systems or services.
Thank you, Troy, for becoming a member here off of the live show. It's the members. That's why these live shows are here, because the members who support our channel said, please make these live for everybody. So I appreciate you supporting my family and becoming a member.
I'm agnostic to that. It means I'm going to take a lot of arrows.
Thanks,
and I'm
Ingrid.
prepared to do so. That's fine. We need the best systems in the hands of warfighters where they need it, to the COCOMs, to deter, send the signals that when that fight comes, we're ready to win
Gaming.
and win
Hey, Scenic.
decisively. That includes a Pentagon audit, which...
Here's Hexeth. This is the Sec Defense, right? Secretary of Defense, U.S. government. This is what we need. He's saying we need an audit in the government. We need an audit across the board. We need everybody to be held accountable. This includes, and I say this every time so people don't think I'm just towing a Trump wagon here, this includes the wrongdoings of our Republican past, of our Democrat past, of our everything past. Up until this point, we need to wipe the slate clean from this point forward and have accountability in government.
To the Marines out there, y'all got to figure it out.
So we saw a little bit of the Marines part last night where he was talking about them passing their audit. So lean and mean all the time.
To be doing, like, there is a lot of
I've got to turn this one backwards for everybody, but let's have a listen.
waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits and waste, fraud, and abuse are not the same thing. So let's decompose
Then
these
please
pieces for a
educate
moment.
me on
Sure.
what
So an
the
audit is
difference-
Okay, so this is Elon Musk reposting this from C-SPAN.
exactly what you just described,
Yes.
which is, do I know what was delivered to which place?
Right.
The ability to pass an audit, or the fact that the DOD has not passed an
Thank you,
audit is
HVAC.
not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is completely false right there. So
what is
now
it
it's a
suggestive
question of, it's suggestive that we don't have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have.
Brad's a
where.
loser? Well, then I'm the king of the losers because you're here with me, so I appreciate you being here.
That is not the same as saying we can't do that because waste, fraud, and abuse has occurred.
So in my world,
Yeah.
that's waste.
How is that waste?
Hey,
If
Nicholas.
I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you
Well,
are
we didn't
not
necessarily-
responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think?
Troy's reviews. Been watching for years, Brad. Thanks for all the work you do for us all, even here in Australia. Glad to have you over here from Australia. We need information. Our mainstream media is pathetic. I have seen a lot of the information that Australian mainstream media is really hardcore, leaning one side. Doesn't want you to think about the realities of what's happening. You know, I take a look at the forest beyond the trees, and I try not to dive one way or the other because it's so important. The path that we're going for our kids, I mean, I've got kids. And so the path that we're going, and I want grandkids someday, and I want grandkids to have grandkids. I need to see that. And so there's a lot that we need to watch at that's down the road. So thank you, Troy, for the super chat, and thank you for the topic.
And when there has been reporting, I mean, this is not, look, I'm not saying this is on you and that you caused this. But I think it's a tough argument to
I'm pretty
make
sure I
that
didn't cause it.
an $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass an audit and tell you where that money went, like, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder why that money isn't well accounted for.
Exactly, and that's exactly why we need accountability and auditing all the way through. He's kind of towing the line that this is what we need, even though he's saying in some ways that this is not, going to be good. And for the people in government right now, it's not going to be good. You'd probably be arrested in Australia. I wouldn't doubt that. There's just craziness. This is Pennsylvania. This is Philadelphia. They're boarding up windows. They're preparing for riots tonight after the Super Bowl. I've also seen a lot of firework shops getting wiped out. So expect a lot of videos of fireworks tonight. Expect a lot of possible confrontations. We do have a video here where they grease the poles in Louisiana tonight so that people can't climb on the poles. They have historic light posts and everything down there. Greased them up so that people can't do it. Why are they rioting? Because this culture, our societies, are just ready to riot. So they got the windows boarded up here. They've got a police presence, pretty big police presence. A lot of people are prepared. They've got the riot gear set up. People in the streets, got the barricades rolled out. They're kind of, imagine barricading every street pole. That tells you kind of where we're at. Wokeism is dead, realism is and always will be, says one of the quotes. Philly's only the only place that'll destroy it, whether they win or lose. Lots of preparation there for a possibly rough night for the people of Philadelphia. On top of that, shelter in place that's over in Seegertown, where there is an industrial fire. Building exploded, putting a massive amount of dangerous chemicals and particulates into the air. People in nearby cities are told to shelter in place, close your windows. Consumer Financial Protection. This is DOGE news. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau employees received an email telling them that their headquarters in Washington will be closed for business starting tomorrow. So starting Monday. I didn't even know what the Consumer Financial, the CFPB really did until I started digging around. So can you tell me about let's see what Grok, the X.com version of AI, has to tell us. Created in 2010 under the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. It was signed into law by Obama. Its primary purpose, they say, is to protect consumers. But what actually happens? We have a lot of funding issues, a lot of non-accountability. Mr. HVAC says road rage is at its worst. He got cut off by a box truck doing 80 on the highway the other day. There are crazy people out there. So I have a video tonight, if I get to it, about a guy who loses his mind on road rage. He's talking to his wife, and then I guess she pushed him over the edge, or he pushed himself over the edge, whatever it is. Thank you, Storm, for that. Loses his mind on road rage. Rulemaking is what the CFPB does, promoting financial literacy, which we know that America is not very strong on. Let's see what else we've got here. I hope we get to that road rage video so we can see how people actually lost it. Here's another Elon Musk post. He did a lot of posting today.
That they had. We don't.
I'm gonna read this to you instead of letting the audio post, because I think that they'll ding me for it.
Ask for any accounting of.
It says we don't ask for any accounting of the Pentagon's money and the history of audits. The only way we're going to get to the bottom of this is if we put it out on the internet. And before the people involved commit, and that's the truth of it. Too many people are, committing, usually by the order of somebody else in power. And that's Elon Musk telling everybody this. So you guys we all need to wake up. What did you miss? Death Fog 2025 in Louisiana, where the president's at. Shelter in place in Pennsylvania. Riot police setting up in Pennsylvania. We're talking about road rage happening in the USA, and we are just getting started. So you didn't miss much yet. All right, here's President Trump.
Right over it right now. So we thought this would be appropriate. Even bigger than the Super Bowl. This is a big thing. And almost everybody now has assented to that.
Attention on board. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please direct your attention out the right side of the aircraft. Air Force One is currently in international waters for the first time in history, flying over the recently renamed Gulf of America. Please enjoy the flight, and we are now about to head westbound to Super Bowl 59.
Wow, he did that well. That's a big... Make America great again, right? That's what we care about. Okay, here we go.
So we've got Trump right now. He is making February 9th, 2025, the proclamation of the Gulf of America Day. Air Force One announcing its flyover on the Gulf of America en route to the Super Bowl. I've never been in Air Force One. Wouldn't that be wild to get inside of it one day and just really see what it's like? Just from a this is what it is standpoint. All right, we've got Louisiana here. All right, this is what we talked about. They're greasing the poles up in Louisiana, not because they're doing some sort of mud wrestling after the Super Bowl. They're greasing them up for the rioters so that people can't go out and climb the historic poles there. For the first time ever in history, City of New Orleans greased its 200-year-old light poles and fixtures ahead of what could be a wild and chaotic Super Bowl night. The building owners in the French Quarters coating the poles with Vaseline. They're anticipating rowdy celebrations. One store owner explained that because of a bunch of deranged lunatics from Philadelphia, they're in town to watch the Eagles play. If they win, these sick freaks, he says, have an instinctual urge to sell. Okay.
Bourbon Street. Look at that. They're taking a cue from Philadelphia. They have officially greased the poles here. These are antique.
Yeah, maybe did Puff Daddy get up here first? Maybe this is going to be a super freak party of what do they call them? Like a whatever freak.
The police say for the very first time they have greased the poles on Bourbon Street. So maybe they're expecting something. Maybe they know something we don't. But looks like a little bit of Broad Street has been brought to Bourbon Street.
You asked where Taylor Swift is. I'm going to show you. She's not too happy tonight. Taylor Swift got massively booed at the Super Bowl tonight, while Trump got massively welcomed with applause. I gotta turn this around. So she doesn't know what to do about the booing, right? How could the freak off party? How could everybody boo her? Why doesn't everybody love me? That's my pitch for 2025. YouTube, why don't you love me? And here's Taylor Swift wondering why people don't love her after she used her position to push an agenda with politics. Now watch the contrast. Here's President Trump. And they had him on video where he was saluting during... Here we go. I'm sure I can't play that audio, so hold on. You saw just the crowd absolutely erupt in applause for a president actually standing and saluting. So, interesting times there. A little bit of a change of event, how people's world can change so quickly. Somebody said, because people suck, the game's not over. Why are people so woke? It's so funny how they turned waking up into a negative term, because we're all supposed to be waking up to all the garbage, right? And then it became woke, and woke is garbage. Elon Musk posts again. He just learned that the Social Security database, I want you to be able to read this with me. He learned that the Social Security database does not deduplicate. That means somebody in the fraud department gets a little thing and they just type in another Social Security number and boom, you've got a double. And then they pay out to the double. Your tax dollars, as Musk says, are being stolen. Rod Barba, thank you so much for becoming a member here on the live show. It's very important to us that the members asked us to continue to produce these live shows free for everybody because the members are doing what you're doing, supporting me and my family. So thank you for that part and for signing up for these survival cards. You'll see a special thing on how to get them. So here's Musk telling them how they do it. Somebody puts in your social security number. Now just think for a second what yours is. The last four of your social or whatever, right? Some guy puts it in and now they're duping, they're doubling up. The government is sending out these two separate checks, these two separate amounts. You don't get it, but the government takes your tax money in a way that is barely ever remarkable, where they can't find it. All right, I can play this.
Completely alone.
All right, here we go.
In terms of cutting waste and increasing accountability and transparency for the American people. I believe that this DOGE program in my adult life is one of the most important audits of government or changes to government structure we have seen.
Okay, now pay attention here. A lot of bad stuff is going to come out in the news very soon. And I want you guys to remember that we're expecting it. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, one of the most important audits of government in his lifetime. The dude's not young. He's not in his 20s. So this is a 50-year lifetime. And this is one of the most important coming to reality that our government will ever be a part of.
That when I was in my 20s, we had the Grace Report, and there's some great suggestions that came out of that, never implemented. Under Clinton and Gore, I think it was to government efficiency or reduce government. Nothing happened. So President Trump came in, there's a big agenda, and I think that there are gigantic cost savings for the American people here. And I think it's unfortunate the way the media wants to lampoon what is going on. These are highly trained professionals. This is not some roving band going around doing things. This is methodical, and it is going to yield big savings.
Now, I don't know if it's going to yield big savings, okay? Because this money is going to keep going somewhere. But I hope, and all of me hopes, that we're going to see real positive change for the American people. Guys, if you are just tuning in, this is Full Spectrum Survival on your Sunday night. The Super Bowl is going on. It doesn't matter. We're still watching the events of our world, still seeing what's happening here, providing you with up-to-date headlines from America and from around the world. If you're not already, please hit that subscribe button. Join the FSS family. This is what we're here for, to really take part in being aware of what's happening together. Let's move forward. Troy says, question. Oh, here's the death fog. Super fog, currently in New Orleans, where the Super Bowl is playing. Something weird is going on, they say. Look at this, guys. Wild. Let me scroll around so you can kind of see a little bit better. Thank you so much, Pirate Leader, for becoming a member off of this live show. Members, again, thank you guys. Love you guys so much. And you support for when other people can't, and you want to keep it there for everybody. So that's awesome. Troy's reviews. When with survival cards, do you send them to Australia? Oh, yeah. We soak the money. I soak the extra to send them across the world. We have like 2 people, 3 people in China. We have a couple of people in the Middle East. Send them to Australia. I'll soak that extra to get that international out there. Storm says, Kelly, if you're behind the scenes again tonight, hi, and thanks for all you do. Mostly in silent service there. She isn't. She's playing a game with our youngest, but I'll certainly tell her. So here is Death Fog 2025 making its way down to Super Bowl, the Super Bowl this year. Wild. Let me see if we've got any more posts about Death Fog out there. Fog, New Orleans. Maybe a little bit of reason for the fog coming in. Oh, that's pretty. Didn't pay much attention to the super fog, they say. What I do pay attention is to cloud seeding and electromagnetic domes, she says. I guess this is maybe from New Orleans. If this was actually today, while Trump is there, and there was some wildness going on, that would blow my mind. There's some more of the fog coming in. This is New Orleans last night fog. Now, I don't know. The only thing I can go off of is that I went out in the fog and Kelly didn't. And I got super sick with something and Kelly didn't. So that's all I can go off of, is my own, personal experience. Troy, thanks for upgrading to the monthly survival card so that we can give back even a little bit more. All right, let's see what we've got rolling in here next. This says, boom, Marco Rubio. People who work their entire lives, they retire, they get $800, $900 in Social Security. Then someone who just got here doesn't work, and they're given $1,500 a month.
Security.
Let's listen.
One of the things I see a lot in South Florida are people that have been in this country, they maybe came from Cuba 45 years ago. They've worked here their entire lives. They retire. They get $800, $900, $1,000 a month from Social Security. And then they run into somebody who just got here from Cuba 3 months ago, 29 years old, doesn't work, and is given $1,500 a month in benefits by our government because they're refugees.
That is a problem, guys. I don't care where you stand on the whole immigration thing. I don't care what we see about who should or shouldn't get helped. That's a problem where we are not helping fairly, equally, whatever you want to call it. And here's the top-down view from the government, right? The top-down view is that, well, you and me, we're work capable, which means we are tax capable. We are a taxable being. And because we are a taxable being, they'll make it harder for you and me, because we are work capable, as seen by the government, to go out there and make money and pay money to give them the taxes to give to people who are not work capable. But we have so much corruption here that there was a loophole that never even they didn't even try to close the door on it. They put a little piece of flap of plastic up and everyone just walks under it. The problem with this corruption loophole is that you could come in and get more healthcare, food assistance, money to pay your rent, all of these things, than a person who was work capable and put their years into this country. And they were like, oh no, I'm sorry, we can't help you there because of XYZ reasons. So yes, we have to have a correction there to some degree.
That refugee, a year later, is traveling back to Cuba 15 times.
When you turn 12, Storm, wow.
So you're a refugee fleeing oppression from a place that you now go back and visit 15 times.
Yeah, the homeless not getting help the way they should, that ruins me. That ruins my mind, because come on. These are people who, sure, there's a lot of addiction there, a lot of problems. And there's also a lot of people who became addicts and started having worse problems because their mom kicked them out, or their dad did horrible things to them, or they have schizophrenia running in their family, or whatever it could be. There's a lot of help we need to do there.
The following year. And in the meantime, we're giving you Medicaid, food stamps,
Death Bond 2025, that's right, in New Orleans
cash
today.
Payments from the refugee fund. So imagine if you've been working here for 40 years and your Social Security check is smaller than the benefits going to a 28-year-old.
I mean, he's not wrong. I know he's pushing an agenda, but he's not wrong. President Trump ordered Elon Musk, to hire 45 new Department of Government Efficiency agents to be chosen at Elon Musk's discretion to manage and audit the FBI, the CIA, and the Pentagon. They say some people really aren't going to like this one. So here's what I see happening, okay? They're making a big deal, and they keep saying Musk the billionaire, Musk the richest man. Every time you see someone get mad about it, they say Musk, oh. But they're not thinking about all of the bad stuff over here that's being found out. And so am I going to, it's like if somebody is digging a hole that you told them to dig, and then they bust your septic, and you're mad at them even though you told them to dig it. Like, we all need this. We all need accountability. We all need this to be fixed. And maybe even somebody needs to have some of their freedom removed because of how accountable we need to be. This is out in the open kind of collusion and corruption. And here's a perfect example, okay? This is Elizabeth Warren. So who is Elizabeth Warren? Who is Senator Warren? Senator Warren, U.S. State Senator, American politician, former law professor, serving as the senator from Massachusetts for the last, how many? 12 years. 75 years old. Here's her 15 years ago talking about government spending. Let's listen. Let me turn it down a little. It's a little loud.
You know, when that much money disappears, it's usually because somebody broke some laws somewhere.
Okay, listen to that. When that much, she's talking about government spending. When that much money disappears, it's usually because someone broke some laws somewhere. Okay, now that's Senator Warren right there. And if you don't recognize this next person, I can't blame you. This right here coming up to your screen is a broken YouTube. Senator Warren. And she's talking about how RFK Jr. is going to completely ruin the chemical pharmaceutical agencies because why? They'll go bankrupt.
More profitable. In fact, he may have the opportunity to bankrupt the vaccine manufacturers, and then nobody gets vaccine.
So nobody goes bankrupt unless they've done something wrong in lawsuits. Let's remember that. Bobby Bacha, Private Investigator, Texas. Thank you so much for the super chat here tonight. I appreciate you. They kind of took, I used to have a little button here that was next to it. Like I could give it a thumbs up or a heart, and I don't see it on that one.
More profitable. In fact, he may have the opportunity to bankrupt the vaccine.
Goodness forbid, right? Okay, here now we've got RFK Jr. This is who she was talking about. Here's the Make America Healthy Again tip of the day. And he says, I can't say this enough. Let me turn it around so you guys can see it. Take out this overlay. He says, the tip of the day, eat more beef, eat more eggs, drop the carbs, eliminate processed foods, cook with butter, cut the sugar, drink plenty of water, 20 minutes of sunlight per day, and check back with him in 30 days. Imagine if that was a prescription that a doctor could give you and could have you actually, as Americans, as a person, adhere to. If like you, instead of going to the pharmacy and getting, all I've got here is aspirin, but instead of them just giving you, a chalk block full of pills, instead they give you your diet plan for the month, and the meal's already set up. Somebody brings your grocery card out, and they're like, here, eat these for the month, do a little exercise, get out there and get some sunlight, and check back in. We're going to check your blood work next 30 days. People would lose it. We'd be a healthier country. I've seen doctor after doctor after doctor say that a large portion, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice, don't come after me, YouTube. A large portion of the diseases that we experience in the Western world is because we don't drink enough good water. That one thing. And so if we can fix things so simply, then why don't we? Okay, this is that 7.6 earthquake last night. It struck between Cuba and Belize. This is how the earth rang because of it. These are the tectonic ringings of our earth. Everything on this planet is connected, guys. Every single thing. I saw a post recently talking about how they had a bowl of soup. And in this bowl of soup, or I'll give you my cup of coffee as an example, right? So in this coffee, they had a little drip dropper. And they said, if I drip dropped some poison into this and just sat it there for a while, you'd be able to see where the poison was. But would you still drink the coffee? Well, no, you wouldn't, because you would know at some point there's an incorporation there. Well, the same thing is with all of our planet. We're poisoning it at multiple levels. And I'm not talking about cyclical climate change. I'm talking about that industrial shelter-in-place order because of the building explosion where they're mixing chemicals in a chemistry department, getting up into the air and falling on our food. I'm talking about the formaldehyde and the lithium batteries in California where they tried to make it so that you couldn't have a combustible chainsaw or a combustible vehicle. After the wildfires raining down on 80% of the green food that we eat in our grocery stores. That's the poison I'm talking about. It is all interconnected. And here, this earthquake, you can very easily see that even underground, one thing happens on one part of this planet and it will happen everywhere. And that's where it really comes into mind for me with things like nuclear. Because just over here, over to the left of this, over at Fukushima, what do we have? A never-ending nuclear disaster. They say that what's in the water and what's going on at Fukushima will continue to hurt us for 40,000 years. And how we don't talk about that blows me away. Let's watch again. So here's the event, and you can watch the shockwave Go through the different earthquake meters, through the tectonic plates. Absolutely wild. Got to call RFK Jr. Reaches reflexively for the timeout button. I didn't even know what the timeout was, but you know, Storm, you and Jordan, you guys can time out whoever you need to. That's why you're trusted mods here. Okay, let's see what else we got. I gotta turn this backwards, but let's listen.
The Winter White House in Palm Beach, Florida. We're pleased to be joined by the 45th and 47th President. Happy Super Bowl.
Thank you.
You know, you are going to be
the country to have a day for many presidents came, but I think just the spirit of the country's taken on a whole new life. I thought it would be a good thing for the country to have the president be at the game.
I mean, it's an iconic day.
It's an iconic day. It's going to be a great game, two great teams, and let's see what happens.
You know, it seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. You know, plays going down the field, big energy policy change.
I have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have, known better if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person.
So that's just a little bit of him talking about what's going on. I don't really see any point in us continuing that video, even though we sometimes catch glimpses and little ideas of what's happening behind the scenes. I didn't really see too much there. Thomas Massey. They say they are ready right now. I'm going to flip this around so you guys can see it. They say they are ready right now to audit the Federal Reserve. Guys, if they audit the Federal Reserve, I think we're going to see civil war. If they audit the Federal Reserve, people are literally going to lose it. Let's see what Massey has to say.
To talk about the bill to audit the Federal Reserve is H.R. 24. And every year I have to rush to the well of the House on the first day of Congress to introduce the Audit the Fed bill so that I can get that H.R. 24. It comes up very early. Everybody, you can imagine with 435 congressmen, everybody's got a bill they want to put in on the first day. That would require a complete and total transparent audit of the Federal Reserve. That bill has passed the House. And it's gone to the Senate.
Guys, I'm thankful for this entire community. We usually have a very nice community that's focused heavily on what's going on in the world. So let's make sure that, like Storm said,
in the past, not this Congress,
love you all.
Hasn't passed the House. But there should be no problem to pass the House this Congress. The thing is, when it gets to the Senate, you've got some senators over there. I'll give you his initials, Bernie Sanders. Who, when he was in the House,
he said, "I'll give you his initials." It's Bernie Sanders.
The Fed, and then when he got to the Senate, he's like, "Well, I don't know about auditing the Fed."
You know, Cloud Games, they do say that Asteroid has a 2.4% and climbing ability to strike our planet in the year 2032. If it happens in 2032, that would make sense why there's kind of this scorched earth plan to sell all your land to China. They don't care what goes in the food because the nanoparticulates aren't going to kill most people right away. They don't care about the forever plastics getting into the brains of an aging population because, well, if that asteroid hits, everybody's anyways. So maybe that would at least make sense. But could you imagine the ability of our fellow brothers and sisters to hold it together if they knew that there was a growing chance of an asteroid hitting our planet? I don't really think that they could hold it together. I think I've seen some studies at the university level, some backed by government money, and when people think that it's over, chaos reigns the day. And I remember one important study in particular for a very popular MMORPG. That's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. And this game was shutting down. And they said, okay, well, let's just take it as a case study. And let's see how the people who have invested years of their life into the economy of the game, real money into the game, they make it their life pretty much. They spend their nights on it every single night. They're with this game more than they're with their wife or husband and children. And they said, well, let's see what happens to them right as soon as they know it's going to shut down and it's never coming back. People lost it, guys. They lost it until the very end, I think. At the very end, when they knew that time was coming, they looked back at all that they had done and said, let's just be together. And so that was very similarly played out in the university studies. When they took people and gave them a vested interest in something, they knew it was going to come to an end. A lot of them played freely with it. They were like, oh, take this, take that. They didn't care what was going to happen because they were like, whatever, it's ending. And then right at the very end, they came back. And so you can kind of see that with people, right? Like if you don't see very many people who have done drugs or drunk too much their whole life that are suffering from their use that don't right at the very end say, I wish I would have done it different, or I just wish I would have loved more, or had something that was more wholesome or together that they were thinking about. So I think that if we do have an asteroid coming, or they know we're going to nuke the planet, or they know some biological event's going to take place, or whatever, that could be why they don't care about what goes in your food. They don't care about what injections they give you. They don't care about the poisons that they feed your children every day. They don't care. All it is about profit and play today.
So it's a little harder to get it through the Senate, but this is one of those bills that we should be doing in the first 100 days and putting it over there, because it's completely in line with DOGE and some of the president's priorities and just transparency to begin with. I've got also going to introduce another bill just to completely end the Federal Reserve. I mean, because that would be my preference. I just probably can't get that bill passed through the House yet.
Yeah, you're not going to see an ending of the Federal Reserve anytime soon. There is too much play and money there. Las Vegas locally has a post here. This says that there is a weird flu. This weird flu is ripping through Las Vegas. It's knocking normally healthy people out of commission for weeks. They're saying that it is turning into pneumonia very often. Patients are testing negative for COVID, negative for influenza. People on the streets are calling it the cough. Hey, Nemesis, glad to have you here. Don't worry about being late. We are still rolling in strong. So they're calling it just the cough. And it's very similar to something we saw in the UK. Very similar to something that we're seeing in China. Lots of pneumonia situations, but negative to all the things that they can quick test for. What is it? Is it the fog? Is it bacteria? I have no idea, guys, but watch out for it. This person says, I was sick for 3 weeks, 103 fever, severe chills, chest congestion, terrible headache, day of vomiting, 4 days of the trots. Insomnia, 8 days were rough, 9 to 15 exhausted, 16 to 20 normal, but tired easily. Now, this is very similar. After I was in Death Fog 2025 in January, it's very similar to what I was experiencing. And is it tuberculosis? I don't freaking know. Somebody asked. Is it what, I experienced something very similar. I had fever, malaise, so I felt very tired, very fatigued, very out of myself. Out of body experience, like you weren't really there. It's like you were fever dreaming. When you wake up in a fever dream, you're all loopy and weird, but not with a fever. Also had terrible stomach, lots of different things compounding, and then the cough. If I didn't know how to watch out for pneumonia, and I'm over here cupping, I'm not the doctor, I'm not telling you what to do, but if your parents get pneumonia at the hospital, what are they going to do? They're going to give them some cupping as long as their rib cages can take it, and that's where you take your hand with a cup like that. You provide percussion on the chest. Now, if you provide percussion in a place, and I'm not a nurse, I'm not giving you any medical advice, and you cough there, you probably have some phlegm that is stuck up there. And that's the part that needs to get out. So you come back to it later, you eat right, you get in whatever sort of care that you can for humidity and everything, and you just treat the symptoms. So that's what I did. Finally cleared it 30 days after getting into it. I was on ginger, turmeric, ginseng, taurine, all the goodies. Eating lots of fruits and vegetables, garlic out the wazoo. And I normally eat 1 clove of garlic every day because I used to have hypertension until I started just walking and eating a clove of garlic every day. Now there's National Institute of Health.gov studies out there showing you that. And let's pull some up together. NIH.gov, garlic, lower blood pressure. So that YouTube knows this isn't me. That's what we need. According to information from NIH.gov, suggests that garlic indeed lowers blood pressure, particularly in individuals with hypertension. Shows a significant reduction in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure when consuming the supplements as well as raw garlic. The supplements reduce the SBP by an average of 8.3. diastolic by 5.5, similar to antihypertensive drugs. So imagine if we had doctors on this planet who would just, in this Western world, who were like, hey, take some garlic. Instead, they're like, hey, pharmaceuticals want to pay me. I got to get that boat, bro. Go ahead. Here's the script for you. They write you a script for a type 1, type 2 hypertension, and it's great. So just, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I do, and that's it. All right, let's move forward here. So they're saying there's the cough in Las Vegas. Okay, I got to turn the audio off here, but this dude, the Russians, man. You remember, if you grew up like I did, you understood the Russians, okay? And the Russians were some vodka drinking folk that, they were scrappy, is the best way that I can describe a Russian. Scrappy. If you had a skinny Russian versus a built, I don't know, Madagascaran, who would you rather fight? I'd rather fight the Madagascaran than the Russian. I'd rather fight the Malaysian than the Russian. I'd rather fight the, I don't know about Florida man. Florida man and Russians are very similar. I think that that's probably why there's such a large grouping in population of Russians in the state of Florida, because they came over and they were like, these are my people. You might not drink as much vodka, but you're my people. And they got along very well. So here's Russian man in his off-brand Crocs or slippers with his freaking man pad taking down a Ukrainian drone. Let's just watch in wonder, okay? Sighting it up, getting ready. Is he wearing Crocs? Yes. It doesn't even care about the Achilles heel. No worry about the calf. Blasting it right to the ground. Shrapnel, who cares? And out. Takes it out. Absolutely wild. Vodka is a great sanitizer and antiseptic. Yeah, it's definitely a part of preps. Liquor. And there's the proof in the pudding right there. That kind of looks like a flying... I guess I'm not going to say anything, but that looks a little bit like a flying adult thing. Russians, what are you guys doing? What is Ukraine sending over there is what I want to know. Who is this? Who are they fighting? All right, let's see. Okay, they say this is not old footage. This is new footage. Accounts are being posted. People crossing back into the country, the USA, illegally, running into waiting vehicles to be taken away. Multiple videos of this happening. Many of the other posts indicate that this might be Texas. Was that a Border Patrol guy? I wish I had a clear video of him here. Huh. And here's another video. Separate group, separate vehicle. So there's a lot of information saying that the coyotes and the checkpoints are not being used, that instead we are seeing a lot of these off-site paths, under bridges. Can't get the drones overhead, can't be seen. The guys pull up, you see them roll up in the vehicles twice here. The vehicle does not sit there waiting. The coordination is probably down to the seconds, right? Because the vehicle's probably only got a couple of seconds to get in, get under cover, get picked up, and go, so that it doesn't look like it stayed there. Because what are the people overhead seeing? What are they watching out for? They're watching out for a vehicle that goes out of sight for maybe 30 seconds, 2 minutes, and then moves. I wish I had close video of that guy at the end. He sure looks like a border patrol, maybe on the Mexican side, being Ubered out. Yeah, this is human smuggling. You can't say it any other way. This is human smuggling that was allowed to take place inside of our country for a very long time. And we can be a little bit hopeful that because I'm not worried about the lady who wanted health care, because here's the road rage guy, okay? I'm not worried about the lady who wanted health care because she was pregnant and wanted to have her baby safe in America. I'm worried about the cartel guys. I'm worried about the gangbangers. I'm worried about the Syrians coming through that had bad intent, the members of actual terrorist organizations that are coming through. I'm worried about the Russians sending their ops in to do actual infrastructural sabotage in America. I'm worried about the Chinese that have to get a man on site working inside of a facility to be able to get code into that infrastructure like Verizon, T-Mobile, your power company, your water company. Those are the people I worry about. And this video right here has these guys who are smuggling these people in have no differentiation. You see, here's a woman and her kid. I'm not worried about them. No, I don't think it's right. No, yes, it is illegal. No, they shouldn't be allowed. Yes, send them back. I'm worried about, excuse me, the boys coming through with ill intent. These guys aren't, he's not looking for just, better healthcare, most likely. And it's not even him, right? I'm not worried about Mustache Daddy in the background there. Him, I'm not worried about. But it's all under the same problem. March 3rd, everything changes. Okay, let's move forward to Mr. Road Rage. Here's Ricky Road Rage right here. And, okay, I can't... I'm going to have to tell you some of what happens here. And I don't know whether this is new or this is a little bit older, but Ricky Road Rage here is the proof in the pudding why you've got to watch out in your own house, your own environment. And tell your kids, please. And tell your wife, or if your husband's like me, and I'm slow to anger, quick to act. And so I try to make sure that I'm especially slow to anger in the public environment, because I know for me that I'm quick to act once those buttons are all pressed. Now, there's people who operate every day that are quick to anger and quick to act. And that's what we're seeing materialize in this new and changing dangerous environment. And so you've got Ricky Road Rage here. And Ricky Road Rage is talking to some woman on the phone. And they're yelling at each other. He says he's caught up in traffic. Okay, so he's yelling at everybody. I'm going to turn this down a little more. He's yelling at these people. Ricky Rage is yelling at all of these people, hating them all. Now watch what happens next, okay? He decides, I'm just going to take all of this into my own hands, and he's going to go on this blocked off lane. Keeps on going, and okay, right here, we've seen plenty of motorcycles do that. Oh, now Ricky Road Rage is going up. Oh, now we've got pedestrians and workers here. Now we've got people who could actually get crushed. He keeps going. This isn't over for him. He's still mad. He is still yelling. Look at all this. Now he's in a crowd. Now there's children on the street. So guys, please, this type of thing is happening everywhere. Please pay attention to it. His shirt is a hologram, someone says. You got a cop right there. Cop calls in for some backup. People dumbly standing in front of him. Finally, a cop right here. What did he think? And now he's like, okay, I'll pull over. It's fine. Cop at least puts himself in front of the vehicle because that's the line of duty, right? You put yourself there instead of the guy running into a kid. He decides he's just going to go a little further. Ricky Road Rage is no joke, guys. Unfortunately, I don't have an after video. I'd love to see what happens next. I'd love to see if there's... And here's another Road Rage right here. He should... This guy had his chance, didn't he? Is that PVC? Look at these guys. Born and raised in Texas in the background.
Nah. This nigga is lit. No, wait, chill. Let me watch this shit.
Now after everyone gets a little bone break, now they're tired of getting hurt. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, and Ricky Road Rage filmed it and posted himself. You're right. We're not dealing with the smarts here, guys. This is Sacramento. I'm a little leery of this. The way this lady's walking up. I think that might be an older video. Man who drove through Grand Floral Parade gets 5 years in prison. People were like, what was he listening to? I need it. This road rage, guys, is not stopping. Now, that guy's window's busted out in the back. Maybe the guy running had something to do with it. Why are you going to take your shirt off? And what are you throwing? And your homeboy's leaving you. Okay, it's not funny. But his homeboy is out of there. And he's just... All right. I got to get back on business. We got to get back to business here, folks. Jordan says, I reckon that was an 8-foot section of PVC. If he wasn't... I could only think 2-inch PVC wouldn't yield when you swing it like that. And that guy put a good swing on it, so it had to have been something else. I don't know what it was, but it had to have been something else.
Less of a fan of Elon Musk, but I have to tell you, but what we're...
Okay, this is important that we listen to, okay? Let me make sure that she's the right way here and we can all hear her. Guys, remember, if you're watching this channel, please subscribe. Full Spectrum Survival on YouTube. We are giving you the real news, the real information as it happens around the world.
Not a huge fan of Trump. I'm even less of a fan of Elon Musk. But I have to tell you, but what we're learning right now about how these funds that were supposed to be used for like development in these nations are now, we're finding out that they've been funneled to our congressman. Chelsea Clinton's wedding? Are you kidding me? And why does Saudi Arabia need Sesame Street? I don't get it. And that's like the least of it to me. That one I'm like, okay, maybe we can make sense of that one. But what is going on right now and what is being uncovered, I think, is the exact thing that the Congress has been scared of and why they want to ban TikTok. Because everyone on TikTok has been talking about shit like this.
Okay,
and this is not one party. This is bipartisan. This is the Republicans and the Democrats. They are all misappropriating our taxpayer money. I'm not going to be afraid to come out here and tell you how I feel about that. And I know because I just said that, so many of you are
thankful, Kat. Kat in the tinfoil hat. I really like the name and I respect it. So that's what we do, right? We hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Now, are some other places getting really dinged today? Yes, they are. Am I glad that we don't so far have any sort of huge event? Very glad.
Unfollow me? That's okay. What they're discovering with these funds in our Congress, I am here for it. Never liked Musk better.
Somebody said Nate's trying to sell his food.
Not a huge fan of Trump.
Okay, so she says she's not a fan of Trump. She's not towing his boat.
I'm even less of a fan of Elon Musk.
Not a fan of Elon Musk, not towing his boat.
But I have to tell you, but what we're learning right now about how these funds that were supposed to be used for like development in these nations are now, we're finding out that they've been funneled to our congressman.
Something else out in the house, you gotta ask if everyone's
Are you
all right.
kidding me? And why does Saudi Arabia need Sesame Street? I don't get it. And that's like the least of...
Okay, so she's saying not a fan of Trump, not a fan of Elon Musk, but what we're seeing come out right now is the truth, and we need to have this information come out. We need to get to the bottom of how bad this corruption actually is. Her glasses are funny. Said Tyler knocked something down. So, yeah, guys, we're just getting ready to the best of our abilities here. Let's go ahead and see what else we've got going on. Tip of the iceberg is right. Hey, Capo Phil, we're glad to have you here. Denver.
Basic healthcare thing.
Okay, listen to this. Listen to this guy, okay?
People aren't receiving water that they need. People aren't receiving vaccines or basic healthcare that they need. And that is not going to be resolved until USAID can go back to doing the work that it's meant to do around the world, the work that Congress empowered it to do, the work that Americans want it to do. In the space of 2 weeks, the world's richest person.
They keep saying the world's richest person as if that's like some sort of dig or that should impart villainy right away in our brains. But when Soros was doing it, it wasn't the world's richest person that they were talking about. And there was no villainy. Or when all of these politicians who are mega millionaires hundreds of times over are doing things corrupt, there's no rich person talk. So it's very interesting to see how they use language.
Has deprived the poorest people in the world, struggling through the worst times of their lives with the very help they need to get by. Help that Congress has year after year demanded that the United States government provide. It's not okay.
Personally, it was a lot of confusion, and then it was a lot of frustration to see that thousands, an estimated 8,000 people in this field are now unemployed.
You're right. I mean, the people who suddenly don't have a job anymore, or at least temporarily, I think there's probably going to be a lot of callbacks, right? They'll be like, okay, you weren't doing anything. You weren't just signing off on everything that came across your desk. Come on back. Or you weren't trying to set up some fraudulent fund. Go ahead and come on back. So yes, it is bad that 8,000 people without a job, but a lot of it's going to be temporary if they weren't doing anything wrong. And if you were doing something wrong, even if it's because you were directed to, well, from a government standpoint, you're out of a job. Go do that in the private sector, where we know how bad the corruption is.
I'll be okay. I have community, I have resources, I have savings. I think it's really just heartbreaking to know that there are millions of people around the world depending on this. People will not get the services that they need. And as a result, the U.S. is going to be less prosperous, less secure, and less safe.
Are we? Are we going to be less prosperous without USAID giving your tax money to fake organizations? Are we really going to be less secure because your tax money isn't going to funding certain parades or medical procedures in other countries or agenda-driven broadcasts and shows and radio shows or advertising? Are we going to be less secure of this? Does she really believe this, or is she just parroting?
Other people will fill in this vacuum of foreign assistance.
People are fanatical about the money being spent efficiently. We have entire offices and research groups who study how much, what the cost effectiveness of each individual thing we do. We can tell you how much it costs to deliver a bed net. You know, it's something like 8 cents, on the dollar or something like that. And there's all sorts of analysis done.
Okay, so if we're delivering bed nets for 8 cents, let me just ask Grok, with the entire USAID budget, how many bed nets could we deliver to other countries if every bed net, including delivery, cost 0.08 cents? Let's just take a guess, okay? Because I know this guy is BSing you, and he's BSing me. And he's BS'd himself. So they go on to talk about this. We could deliver 500 billion freaking bed nets on the low end. 500 billion. To how many billion people in this world? How many beds do we have? Let's just ask that. How many beds exist in third world countries or other nations where bed nets are appropriate? Okay, let's see. How many beds actually exist? Just an example. Just maybe this is a number. Because we can deliver, how many did I say? 500 billion bed nets? So arrangements, talking about all of the different studies that we've seen, floors. If you need it more precise. Okay, Grok, this is the first time you failed me. That's it. I'm done. You're right. Evil, evil Musk is evil. We got to get out of here. So I'll ask it, just give me a low-end number. Let's see if it can listen to that. I have 56 beds where I am, somebody says. A very rough estimate in a developing world would be 700 million. Okay, so we got 700 million bed nets needed. And we've got 500 billion that we could spend because this guy says that they can...
what the cost effectiveness of each individual thing we do. We can tell you how much it costs to deliver a bed net. It's something like 8 cents, on the dollar or something like that. And there's all sorts of analysis done. And if a project isn't working, we recalibrate.
I bet they do. If a project doesn't work out to fund a politician's pocketbook enough, they recalibrate.
So the money is very much accounted for. The idea that this is sort of corrupt waste being thrown into the ether is just nonsense.
Gotta love that, right? Man, I love the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid is strong. The Kool-Aid is good. If I was a drinking man, okay, so here in America, when you send people to prison, they still get to enjoy the Super Bowl.
Turkey and chicken pizza. Okay. Turkey and beef. So with the turkey and chicken, just give them a little sneak peek. Here's a little sneak peek. Okay then, that's turkey and chicken.
Now that's criminal punishment right here. Having to eat this cold turkey and, was it turkey and chicken pizza?
You know what I'm saying? This your little sneak peek over here with your
turkey and beef right here.
Beef and turkey. And with the large pizza over there, it look like it's just beef. Oh, yeah.
This is the winner's pizza. What do you gotta do to get in on this pizza?
Pickles, jalapeno peppers, and then you got beef over here. Turkey and beef right there. Then you got the super side pieces. You know what I'm saying? Them some more pieces in the making right there. Pieces in the making. For you chip guys, you know what I'm saying?
For you chip boys in prison.
Got all these chips. No, we can't dip.
Well, these are the boys in these are the boys in black and white, right? These are the boys in prison. So
we got burritos and fried rice over here.
But you know, we I can't even. You know, you guys know I can't say what I want to say.
Free world shit.
All right, come on, bro. Come on. You don't gotta do me like that. Why wouldn't a guy in jail not curse? Why would he know that I don't want to hear no cursing? No double dipping in prison. I don't know about that. Okay.
And on this.
All right, I gotta flip this.
And I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk.
Seegertown, Pennsylvania, and surrounding cities.
Who's been
That's where the shelter in place is because of an explosion at an industrial plant that makes adhesives and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find.
I bet Trump does need some
billions,
sleep.
Hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, you know, the people elected me on that. I don't know if it's kickbacks or.
Yeah, there's a lot of kickbacks going on there. So we know that big audits are coming. If they make their way all the way through, we're going to be in trouble. Here's Senator Andy Kim. Announced he's preparing to shut down the government. Now listen, this is how you know that these politicians don't care about you. All they want is a ruckus and their way. He says he's willing to pull every punch, shutting down the government, using your tax-paying money, wasting your money. And it's not just him. You'll see Republicans do the same thing. Is he even not a Republican? I'm not sure. Let's see what Senator Andy Kim is. American politician, former diplomat, serving since 2024, junior United States Senator from New Jersey, Democratic Party. Okay, so you know that the Republicans will do the exact same thing, right? They're willing to waste your money, waste your time, waste your energy, waste your eyes, waste your ears, and waste your work so that they can get their way.
Shut down the government over some of these sledgehammer actions that he's seeing by Elon Musk. Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, you have to look at what the Trump administration is doing right now. They are simply trying to. They are simply trying to dismantle the government. So,
is the administration trying to dismantle the government? In some ways, I guess it could be seen that way.
So yes, look, if we have to take steps to be able to hold them accountable, use the leverage that we have to force it, I cannot support efforts that will continue this lawlessness that we're seeing when it comes to this administration's actions. And for us to be able to support government funding in that way, only for them to turn it around to dismantle the government, that is not something that should be allowed.
So just to be clear, Senator, you are open to voting yes to shut down the government, to make this point.
This is on them. This is about whether or not they can get the votes. They are the majority, and if they cannot govern, then you know, that's for the American people.
So basically, he's saying they'll shut down the government unless the Republicans can get enough votes not to shut down the government. And they'll also throw in a whole bunch of garbage into laws and everything else, and they'll push it, and they'll get it through. because they'll make the Republicans vote yes on this or no on this, or they'll vote yes on this or no on this. It is all a scam, guys. I want to see how much homeboy here is worth. How much is he worth estimated? Because we know that it's not all covered on the high end. All right, Grok, do me right. Net worth, $1.5 million. What were his 2024 earnings? Not just from government salary. Isn't that funny? How did he make $5.8 million last year during the 2024 election cycle, but he only has a worth of $1 million? As a representative, he only makes $174,000 annually. So how did he make $5.8 million just during the election cycle of 2024 on a campaign called Andy Kim for Congress? Well, guys, that sounds a little bit fishy to me. I bet that stinks more than that prison cell we just watched them opening up some pizza for the Super Bowl in. David Sachs on Doge.
You want to share?
Is this still backwards? It's got to be for this.
I'll give you one anecdote, which is I've been working late here a number of nights at the EOB, and I won't tell you where the Doge guys are based, but I know where their office is, so I just went by there to say hi. The whole room was full of young coders. I think they were engineers, but they were wearing like suits and ties, so that's a little different. But they were all working really late.
Yeah, it's backwards.
They're working there late up Friday night, and the facilities people don't know what to do because they've never had people like asked to stay late on Friday night before. So they've had to create new facilities access for.
That's true, Daryl. He's not talking backwards. It's just backwards on your eyes. Just close your eyes and listen to the sweet sound of change in the U.S. government 2025. This is like a marriage, right? Because we just entered into the for better or for worse period of our country. We are really there right now, for better or for worse. The government might get sick. The government might start to drink a lot. The government might fall down and hurt itself and get stuck on fentanyl. We don't really know. Or the government might live out a great relationship with we, the people. But I'm kind of starting to think that it's going to be the for worse part in the long run. DOGE, memorandum. Establishment of a joint task force. This is February 5th, 2025. You probably haven't even seen anything on this yet. DOJ declared war on Hamas and their foot soldiers that operate in the Western world. Hunt down, prosecute, take out any individual who took part in, or the funders, or their counterparts, in any sort of terror activity. The FBI, the U.S. attorneys, Treasury, Homeland Security are all being mobilized for this. Okay. I wish that I had text of this because I would like to have Grok analyze it and kind of take a look. But let's just read it together. Joint task force related to initiatives to prioritize this. I can turn this around so you guys can read with me. Hamas perpetrated the event in Israel. The department, led by the National Security Division, conducting ongoing investigations. The priorities, are as noted above, will be to seek justice, pursuing criminal charges, including capital crimes where applicable, providing services to victims, seeking to arrest and extradite anyone with Hamas, investigate and prosecute acts, supporting efforts of the Israeli government, Department of Defense, and Department of Treasury to pursue non-criminal responses. A lot's changing. I told you guys, as soon as we saw Netanyahu standing up there with Trump, I told you a lot was going to change. And this is just the beginning. We the people is right. Mike Huckabee says Trump's government cleaning is the most amazing thing ever.
Be the most consequential president.
All right, I've got to flip this, but let's listen. Remember, guys, he's not talking backwards. We just see it backwards.
I think he already has been in 3 weeks. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to the emergency room later tonight because I have whiplash from what is happening at the White House. They've taken things that have been sacred cows for a long time. Let's look at USAID. Look, I'm the first to admit that there are some things in USAID. PEPFAR, for example, started by George W. Bush, saved millions of lives from AIDS. Good thing. But if you have a stew pot and you've cooked stew in it, and it's been good, but then you start putting poison in there, You don't say, well, let's just keep serving because there's some good stuff at the bottom of the pot.
Hey, that's funny.
You dump it all out.
I just talked about that.
Clean the pot and scrub it good, and you just make stew and nothing but stew. That's what Trump is doing. I think it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I never
Thanks,
thought
Montana
we would
Prepper, if you're
cut
talking to
through
me.
some of this red tape and nonsense. But when these things are being discovered, let's let the Democrats go and scream at that guy at the door of the Department of Ed, who, by the way, I think was barred from Buckingham Palace because nobody has ever been so stoic. This guy's got a career wherever he wants to go. It's a great day in America today.
Yeah, like either he's on some good, the guy who they're talking about, either he was on some good like antidepressants, he either just smoked a big fat one, or he just got finished with his anger management repurposing course, or he just has a good head on his shoulders. I would love to believe that it's just a good head on his shoulders. He looks like an operator, so I assume that he probably is.
You said that this could be the most consequential president.
Hugs back, Elizabeth Towers. We're glad you're here. Okay, let's see what else we've got going on here. Consequential is right, and they're starting to use the right terms. Maybe not all for good, but consequential. Thank Grant Daniel. So here's an Amazon worker as an illegal. Okay? So you tell me how it is that Amazon is also paying illegals under the table. Let me flip it around so you guys can see it with me. Amazon workers. Now, Amazon has already made it so that the people, like guys, they're sleeping at their steering wheel because they're not allowed to, they're peeing in a cup because the Amazon trucks tell them when they get out of the truck. It's crazy. There's so much tyranny going on with Amazon, and yet Amazon's paying illegals to people who are in a criminal element. Here's a passenger on a plane. They say he was having a psychotic episode. He was grabbing the hair of the woman in front of him and freaking out. Passengers and flight attendants had to throat punch him. Now, the poor dude, but we're seeing lots and lots of this over and over again. We are seeing people freaking out on planes, people freaking out in their cars, people freaking out at their house, people freaking out in front of the cops, people freaking out at work. I don't know what's happening, guys, but it's not the safest place that it could be. Instead, he's probably thinking to himself, I'm being recorded. Am I going to get fired for doing the right thing? 100%. Now, should some other airline, like American Airlines, they should make it their deal to say, okay, you can come over and work for us because you're obviously here for America. Respect to these two guys. They knew what time it was. Okay, here's the article. A flight attendant was called when the individual grabbed the woman's hair in front of him, wouldn't let go, started hurting her. He was restrained for several minutes. The flight was canceled after an attendant refused to fly and couldn't be replaced. The lady said that he was an alcoholic on 5 medications before he started repeating himself and glitching out. Well, there's kind of a recurring theme. On a lot of medication, drinking some alcohol, so substance, and then glitching out. The woman, claiming to be the one who got her hair pulled, said, "Thank you for this video. I'm the woman whose hair was grabbed. My hair was not in anyone's way to provoke anyone. The man was having a psychotic episode. He banged his head multiple times on the back of my seat. He lost consciousness. He regained it. He grabbed my hair. Had I leaned forward with him grabbing my hair, he could have pulled my hair out. I was afraid that this man was going to punch me in the head. I'm thankful for the people who stepped in." The flight attendant should be commended for trying to help. Could better training allow these people to apprehend in other ways? Sure. Absolutely. Should he get fired? No. Should he be retrained on proper, psychotic episode management? Maybe. Paid training? Absolutely. Okay, let's see if we can move forward here. Hey, good evening, Stephanie. Storm says, why the attendants, let me pause this. Why the attendants don't know how to use pain compliance techniques is mystifying. Many, I think it's like, if you work at a store, the store tells you just let the shoplifter go. If you're being robbed, give them whatever you want. We are in a victimized culture because the company doesn't want to deal with any sort of lawsuit. And so they would rather you be victimized than deal with a lawsuit. And so they don't teach them these things. So I think that's why. I think this is just another view of what we saw earlier, him declaring the Gulf of America.
As far as us rebuilding it,
thanks so much, Nemesis. Sadly, it's getting a little late for me. I got to get up at 3. That is a little late. Thanks for the great weekend shows. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Brad. God bless all. Thanks and many blessings in return, Nemesis. We will see you on the next live show. This is the 10th super chat that you've had here on this channel. We are deeply appreciative of it, so thank you so much. Scenic says, at least the Chiefs are not walking away from the Super Bowl with 0 points. I guess it must be bad. Where's the fog tonight, Bayou? New Orleans. So if you're Bayou, like New Orleans, Louisiana Bayou area, it's in New Orleans tonight. If you Google search New Orleans fog, Twitter search for it, and actually let's do it here. Maybe there's some more. Fog New Orleans. So here's some images of the fog, maybe coming in from your area or where you're originating. The NWS, the National Weather Service, they issued a dense fog advisory. Expect reduced visibility, less than a quarter mile on land. Now look at this. Encompassing right New Orleans, right where the Super Bowl is playing, right where President Trump is. The fog hits New Orleans during the Super Bowl. This is one of the cameras, like public access cameras right there. Here's some more imagery of it. I guess it's hitting some of Florida too. Somebody says something's going on. This person posted in about some electromagnetic domes, whatever that is. So interesting times.
we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build.
Okay, this wasn't Trump talking about the Gulf of America. This was him talking about taking over Gaza. Let's listen.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza.
Listen to that. Now, I want you to hear that again. Where are you going to hear this anywhere? Trump says, I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. This is straight from his mouth, okay? You're not seeing this twisted through some sort of wordplay in media. This is straight from the President of the United States right now saying he is committed to buying and owning Gaza.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place.
Nothing against wearing that mask in the fog. I was sick for a month. Now, I don't know if the mask would have helped me. Probably wouldn't have. But hey, I'm not going to. You walk out in the fog, I'm all for it.
A demolition site. It'll be. The remainder will be demolished. Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in.
Thanks, Brian. Glad to have you here as a member of the channel.
But we'll make it into a very good site for future.
We've got over 2,000 people watching at this moment in time. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. You're spending your Super Bowl Sunday night here with Full Spectrum Survival. We are watching the craziness that's going on, catching up on maybe what happened in the last 24 hours, and looking ahead to see what's going to happen tomorrow.
Committed to buying and owning Gaza.
I guarantee tomorrow's headlines are going to be Trump saying that he is going to buy and own Gaza Strip.
As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices.
The Super Bowl's over, you said? Who won the Super Bowl? I bet it's going to be on the top of my X.
I'd probably go around.
I can't even show Jones, unfortunately, because people hate on him so much. Okay, you'll have to tell me who won. Okay, Eagles won the Super Bowl because I wasn't getting nothing. This was less than an hour ago. Louisiana. I gotta mute it and I've got to flip it backwards because these people are crazy. I guess this was a pro-Palestinian protester jumping up during the Super Bowl halftime. Is that Palestine? Is that Mexico? You guys got to tell me. It's a little fuzzy on my side. Interesting times. Trump said, for far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful. He has instructed the Secretary of the U.S. Treasury, stop producing... let me flip it so you can read what Trump says. Stop producing new pennies. Let's rip the waste out of this great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. Interesting. I guess everyone wanted to talk about that. Okay, that's funny. All right. That's Taylor Swift getting booed tonight. So that's kind of funny.
The impact on the state of New York. This is $5.5 billion that the state receives annually from the Department of Education. $3.2 billion goes directly into our budget. $2.3 billion goes to localities. If that money...
I can't play that because it's got music in the background.
That if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they could just... Vice President suggested that if the Supreme Court rules in a way that you don't like, they can just enforce it by themselves. Do you agree with that?
I don't know even what you're talking about. Neither do you. Who are you with?
Up close, sir.
Who?
Up close.
Oh, no wonder. I thought they died. Are they still around? I haven't read them in years. I thought they died.
That's like Trump's go-to. When it's a news organization that he doesn't like, he's like, are they still around? I thought they died. And it's like, if it's someone that he doesn't like, he's like, oh, I haven't heard from them in years. He completely invalidates. And it's a smart, like you can tell he still has his intelligence, right? Which is a lot more than I can say about our last president there. There he was not getting his intelligence shown in the public speaking very much. But he obviously has his wit to invalidate the point of whatever he doesn't go with. So just from a... good night, Bobby Bacha. Shelter in place was in Pennsylvania for a chemical explosion at a infrastructural factory, or maybe a sabotaged factory. Okay, can't watch that, guys. Come on, what are you doing to me? Come on. Even if it's Turkish music, they'll probably ding us. Come on. Okay, let's move past. I've got some good links here.
The head of US.
Let me make sure we're flipped around. You guys can read this with me. And we are.
USAID. You're now the head of USAID. The head of DOGE, Elon Musk, called USAID a criminal organization and added that it is time for it to die. Do you agree with that?
Let me walk you through the history of this agency. It was created as a way of doing humanitarian assistance in the world, separate from the State Department at the time. But it said you have to take policy direction from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, the White House, and all elements of government. They have basically evolved into an agency that believes that they're not even a U.S. government agency, that they are a global charity, that they take the taxpayer money and they spend it as a global charity, irrespective of whether it is in the national interest or not in the national.
That's the answer right there. Irrespective of whether it's in the national interest of the American people or not.
They just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global
entity
and that their master is the globe and not the United States. And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable. President put a pause on all foreign aid. We go to USAID, which is a big chunk of foreign aid, $40 billion or so. They're completely uncooperative. They won't tell you what the programs are. They refuse to answer questions. They try to push through payments. Even after the executive order, they were still trying to push money through the system.
Can it be reformed or does it need to die?
Well, that was always the goal, was to reform it. But now we have rank insubordination. Now we have basically an active effort where their basic attitude is we don't work for anyone. We work for ourselves. No agency of government can tell us what to do. So the president made me the acting administrator, and we're going to go through the same process at USAID as we're going through now.
Scenic Adventures, thank you for the super chat.
Oh, there are things that we do through USAID that we should continue
dedication
to do.
To us all. Appreciate it.
And we'll have to decide, is that better through the state?
Eggs aren't just expensive in your area, D. They are expensive all over the country, and they're not going to get less expensive. I just saw some information come across my breaking news stuff that we have more poultry farms catching more positive pops for bird die-offs this week. So you're going to see more culling. Next, it's going to shift into beef. It's going to shift into swine. Chicken's going to cost more. It's not going to stop just because of the eggs. There's a whole cascade of events that takes place when you mess up just the eggs.
State Department, or is that better through something, a reformed USAID? That's the process we're working through. There are things that are happening at USAID that we should not be involved in.
100% to that. All right, let's see what else we got. Elon says we need to reform the tax code.
Reform of the tax code, it would make sense because it's extremely complicated and there are too many loopholes. I'm often pitched on these loopholes. That's how I know they exist. And I'm like, that sounds pretty shady. I don't think we should do that. They're like, well, lots of other people are getting away with it. We're like, yeah, but I still don't think we should do it. Reform of the tax code, it would make sense.
Interesting. Do you guys think, let me know, do you think that we will see a day where we don't have to pay taxes because taxation is thievery? Hey, Raven, glad to see you in here tonight.
Break-ins at...
Okay, here's a 13-year-old. I got to switch this around backwards because of what it is. They say that this kid, now I don't care who he is, where he's from, what his background is, he's a kid at 13, is tied to 11 different home invasions and assaults and an attempt to assault a woman in another way, or even a grandma, who knows?
Assaults across Anderson Street earlier this week and attacking her 10-year-old with a knife.
And so I go towards my hallway and I see a guy just shoot out from her room. So I just got to yelling, get out my house.
Guys, you gotta be on top of your home. You need cameras on the outside. There are cheap options today. Very, very cheap options. And I'm talking like $10 a camera cheap options. Then there's better ones, of course, that send you a different kind of alerts and everything. You need door alarms. I don't care if it's dollar store door alarms. You need something set up that when that door opens, you hear it. You need a way to monitor your place, and you need a way to act defensively in life and in the face of violence. That's a bare minimum, because we have things like this happening all across our country, all across our world right now. And it's not going to get better. Just because Trump is in presidency, we are not going to see a safer America anytime soon. And in fact, the elements that are about to get pushed out, not just the illegal immigration side, not just Tren de Aragua, not just the gang elements, not just the Russians that are operating here, not just the Chinese, not just the Iranians. No, I'm talking about the government elements. They are going to incite violence on both sides. And that's what you need to be ready for.
Get my gun. Go get my gun.
Okay, so she's about to get him out of the house. All right, let's see what else. MTA workers' teeth knocked out by a subway vagrant. Remember, every time something bad happens in the subways of New York City, they take a picture with the mayor and the cops, and the mayor tweets out, we're making the subway safer. And somehow, people are like, I bet it is. And they keep getting attacked. The attacker punched the transit worker in the face, knocking out teeth before fleeing. This dude was just 44 years old, working his job, trying to pay his bills, suffered from the bleeding, headaches, and trauma. He says he's now afraid to return to work. If he's a government worker, maybe he's trying to get on that disability. I don't know. He probably deserves it. This dude knows he's on cameras everywhere. And he's not walking around with his face covered. So what is he thinking? I just don't get it. I don't get how people don't realize that we live in a not safe world. And that this... Jesus, people. These people have lost their minds. I really can't stand hate, guys. I can't stand hate more than anything else. Because we all need love. Let me see what time we're at here. In our thing, we are 1 minute, 34 seconds. I got to make note of this. 1 minute, 1 hour, 34 minutes. We all need love, guys, and some more than others. Let's listen to what the White House press secretary has said.
The actual prices that Americans are paying to come down. Prices at the store and at the grocery pump? All of the above. Across the board? Sure. Well, the president is doing everything he can, obviously, to reduce the cost of living crisis in this country as quickly as possible. That's why he signed a litany of executive orders across the board. In the first couple of weeks here, he declared a national energy emergency. He committed to cutting 10 regulations for every new one on the book. As you know, working for a Fox Business-related outlet, deregulation and energy independence are huge drivers of reducing inflation in this country, and I think Americans can be assured by the results President Trump had in his first term, when again inflation was 1.4% when he left office.
But is it months or is it a year, and will Americans have the patience to wait for it?
I don't have a timeline, but the president is doing everything that he possibly can to reduce cost of living for Americans at home.
Now, first of all, if you believe that when Trump got into office on day 2, there was going to be a reduction in your price at the grocery store, you had no idea without dictatorship level operations in government how that could happen. It can't happen. And so that was obviously a falsehood. That was obviously Trump riding a train to get into presidency. It is going to take a while. And I don't care who says it. There is no day one action that can happen without there being some really sketchy things happening. And so is it going to get better? That I don't know. The banks say it's going to get worse. What will get better is maybe because we won't have as many people working under the table, we might have more people who can fill those jobs. But the profit margins of the construction leaders, the people building the houses, the corporations, they're going to go down. The profits are going to go down, which is never a good thing for corporate America. They don't want profit to go down ever. Why are you... Hank, don't be silly with your poopy emoji. There's a shelter in place in Pennsylvania right now. So we know that it was never going to happen day one. And it's obvious that we need to get ready for it. That it's not going to change anytime soon.
Through and get some of the actual prices that Americans are paying to come down.
Prices at the store and at the grocery pump? All of the above. Across the board? Sure.
All right, let's see what else we got. This is fun. This is Zelensky. And I don't know if this is the exact translation because I am not Ukrainian. I don't know how to speak Ukrainian. I don't even know if he is speaking Ukrainian. But he's speaking a language I don't understand, and it's voiced over. But I do want us to listen to it. Now, reportedly, he's pointing out mineral deposits on a big map. I can see the map, and I can see the deposited areas. And apparently, he's saying that this is what Russia wants, and this is what Ukraine is willing to give to the USA in exchange for money.
These deposits are priceless. It is huge amounts of money. Huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal.
And sometimes I didn't see what you were talking about, Storm, to Victor, but you're right, and we need... That just means if you have a hard time overcoming your preps, you need community maybe a little bit more than somebody else. So for the elderly, do you have it in your plans to go pick up somebody? I do. So that means that's in my plan. My preparedness plan involves someone else. So if you have a hard time overcoming something in preparedness, then just make your community a little bit bigger so that you can have somebody else try to help you.
Let's do a deal.
Here's Zelensky.
That's why we need to protect priceless.
He's saying, these minerals, let's do a deal.
These deposits are priceless. It is huge amounts of money. Huge. That is why we need to protect it. So if we are talking about a deal, that's what the Americans want, then let's do a deal. We are only for it. Let's do the deal.
Now that's interesting. If he really word for word is translated to saying we are all for it, can you imagine how mad some of the Ukrainian people are that Zelensky is willing to sell off their children's minerals and resources to the Americans right now for a deal, for an exchange of money, that there is some fraud going on there and some corruption going on there? I know he's got to be mad. I know those people have got to be mad. But is there alternative? Never-ending war, and so will they take it? We'll see.
President Trump when we... This is what I told President Trump when we were together. I told him, this is the victory plan. Why victory? Victory for all. We will protect those trillions. We will prevent Russia from mining the minerals which will later be used to produce technologies for the 3 countries of the axis of evil. The Americans helped the most, and therefore the Americans should earn the most.
You've got this, Elise. Don't worry about it. You have got it. Just be focused. Get your skills up that you can get up. Your skills could be caretaking. That's a huge skill. You're already doing caretaking. I want to read what Elise says to everybody who maybe is watching later. Elise says, I live with my son who is a paraplegic. And so I wish you so many blessings and love and everything. I have physical disabilities myself, she says. We live with my sister. We have 3 incomes and my sister helps. Your skill that I see right there is caretaking. That's one skill. Now you can increase all your other skills. You can increase cooking. I'm sure you already do a lot of cooking, but what about like meal prep or food preservation? What about organization? There's so many different things that can be done. So don't ever let anything get you, stuck back. Just persevere through it. Stephanie Cook, Super Chat, 1999. Great show, much appreciated. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate the support for the family.
And in rebuilding Ukraine, they should have this priority, and they will. I would also like to talk about this with President Trump.
So there's Zelensky. If this is word for word, he is literally selling out the Ukrainian land for money from America and defense contracts. So definitely pay attention. You are going to see some movement in Ukraine and Russia's war very, very soon. All right, let's see what else we've got here. This might be the same one. I'm not sure. If it is, we'll jump forward to the next one. Yeah, that's the same one. So let's go ahead and jump forward. See what else we've got. Love to cook. That's awesome. Okay, we saw this recently, that NASA reported a 2.4 increased chance of that asteroid striking Earth, up from just a couple of days ago. Now the news is starting to hit it. They're saying, I know a team, and it's that Bruce Willis movie from so long ago. The asteroid that has a small chance of Earth is being monitored, they say. Asteroid 2024 YR2. Are you guys backwards? Okay, let me fix that so you can see it right. Nearly 99%. That's scary because if one does actually hit Earth, well, we are toast and roast, right? I got to ask my dinosaur friends what to do. To be clear, Elon Musk says, the DOGE team, U.S. Treasury, jointly agreed to make sense in the following. Require all outgoing government payments to have a payment categorization code. This will be necessary to pass financial audits. All payments must also include a rationale. Can you guys read all this? No, let me. All payments must also include a rationale for the payment in the comment field, which is currently blank. Importantly, we are not yet applying any judgment to this rationale, but simply requiring that some attempt is made to explain where this money is going. The do not pay list of entities for fraud, for terror, and for probable fronts must actually be implemented and not ignored. And I guess where it used to be was that it didn't matter if you were sending your money through USAID to a terror organization. And we have seen that because we've seen some USAID terror stuff on the back of maybe some contentious, at best, maybe some not so great group videos. This wasn't a FaceTime with his mom, probably. So what was he doing here? Same thing here. No measures. Cement factory to Hamas.
From USAID. USAID in 2016 gave $310 million of your taxpayer money to a Palestinian cement factory project.
Now, I'm not there, right? So I don't know. But what I do know is maybe it did a lot of good. It definitely took part in a lot of bad. Says, okay. I don't know if that's true or not, but she is really mad about it. $2 billion since 2022. I saw a thing recently that said We won't be a free America until we can buy that Toyota truck for $10,000. Have you guys seen it? Toyota truck 10. Let's see if maybe this pulls it up. Yeah, so here's a $10,000 pickup truck that is illegal to purchase. It's not legal for them to have it on your roadways. It's 10 grand, people. It's a tenth of the Toyota truck they want to sell you. A tenth of the price means you have to work a tenth of the amount. It means you have to pay a tenth of the taxes. Why? Let's ask ourselves those things. Here it is in action. Why can't we have this $10,000 truck? That's a good question, isn't it? Toyota launching its 10 grand pickup truck concept, bare bones, personified. No screens, no radio, no buttons. Not allowed to be sold in the USA. I don't want a screen. I don't want GPS. I don't want a button. I'll roll down my freaking window. Give me a $10,000 brand new working truck that'll probably last longer than any of the other ones on the road. Somebody says I would buy 10 of them for my landscaping business. This person says import expert. I've been thinking about importing these Toyota trucks from Thailand. Even with the chicken tax, 25% tariffs, you're getting this pickup truck landed in the US for 15 grand. I can fit 3 of these on a 45-foot container. Americans deserve this, says Red Meme Hub. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Here's one kind of decked out. Of course, that's an AI image. I think we need this, right? I think we need access, if nothing else. Hey, Missouri. Nice looking truck. I agree. Way better than a Cybertruck, if you ask me. So Elon Musk, that's who we're covering right here. He's talking about what we need to do. The do not pay list. So people that are actually terror organizations or fraud fronts, that needs to be kept up. Thank you so much, Sick and Tired. I really appreciate the super chat and the support for my family. Yesterday, Musk says, I was told that there is over 100 billion, with a B, $1 billion per year of entitlement payments to people with no social security number or even a temporary ID number. If accurate, this is extremely suspicious. When asked if anyone at the Treasury had a rough guess on what percentage is unequivocal or obvious fraud, the consensus was at least 1 billion a week. How do we let this happen? And somebody asked, how is it possible they all knew there was $50 billion in fraud and they didn't do anything? Musk answers that back directly. He says nobody in Treasury cared enough before. I do want to credit the working level people who have wanted to do this for many years, but have been stopped by management. Everything at the Treasury was geared toward minimization of complaining. People receive money, they didn't complain. People who don't receive money, they would complain loudly, so the fraud was allowed to continue. Absolutely amazing. Well, guys, we are about wrapping it up tonight. We're about an hour 45 in. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending your Super Bowl Sunday here with us. It is February the 9th, 2025. We saw a lot tonight. We saw a shelter in place in Pennsylvania, still ongoing right now. We saw them getting ready for riots in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia in particular. Death Fog 2025, or some sort of other fog event taking place in New Orleans, right where the Super Bowl is, right where President Trump was. We saw President Trump make an assignment of the Gulf of America while he was flying over the Gulf of America. We saw him discuss all sorts of things happening with Hamas in Gaza, where he said that he was going to buy it, all of Gaza. We see a lot of action taking place in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and we see a lot going on across our world. And it's only made possible because of you. So I thank you for spending your night with me. Thank you to all the people who super chatted. Thank you to everyone who is a member for Full Spectrum Survival. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us down there somewhere. There's a subscribe button. And if you'd like to be a part of making these lives possible, please think about becoming a member. Under no circumstance, if your family is going to be put into hardship, please don't do it. But if you're able to, and you can support my family for it, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you just for being here, and all of our members for saying, make this for everybody, including the people who can't. So thank you guys for being here with us. I know that this week is going to be a busy, crazy week, and we're going to be here to watch it together. From my family to yours, stay safe.